What if we didn't live in a free country?
What if our foreign policy of the past century is deeply flawed and has not served our national security interests?
What if the Constitution were written not to limit government, but to expand it?
What if we wake up one day and realize that the terrorist threat is a predictable consequence of our meddling in the affairs of others and has nothing to do with us being free and prosperous?
What if the Constitution didn't fulfill the promise of the Declaration of Independence but betrayed it?
What if propping up repressive regimes in the Middle East endangers both the United States and Israel?
What if the Constitution actually permitted the government to limit and constrict freedom?
What if occupying countries like Iraq and Afghanistan and bombing Pakistan is directly related to the hatred directed toward us?
What if the Bill of Rights was just a piece of paper that the government could avoid whenever it claimed the need to do so?
What if someday it dawns on us that losing over 5,000 American military personnel in the Middle East since 9/11 is not a fair trade-off for the loss of nearly 3,000 American citizens, no matter how many Iraqi, Pakistani, and Afghan people are killed or displaced?
What if the same generation, in some cases the very same people, that drafted the United States Constitution enacted laws that violated it?
What if we finally decide that torture, even if called enhanced interrogation technique, is self-destructive and produces no useful information, and that contracting it out to a third world nation is just as evil?
What if the merchants and bankers who financed the American Revolution bought their way into the new government and got it to enact laws that stifled their competition?
What if it is finally realized that war and military spending is always destructive to the economy?
What if the Civil War that was fought in the name of freedom actually advanced the cause of tyranny?
What if all wartime spending is paid for through the deceitful and evil process of inflating and borrowing?
What if the federal government were the product of 150 years of stealing power and liberty and property from the states and from the people?
What if we finally see that wartime conditions always undermine personal liberty?
What if our political elites spent the 20th century importing the socialist ideas of big government statism from Europe?
What if conservatives who preach small government wake up and realize that our interventionist foreign policy provides the greatest incentive to expand the government?
What if our political class was adopting the European political culture from which our founding fathers fought so hard to break free?
What if conservatives understood once again that their only logical position is to reject military intervention and managing an empire throughout the world?
What if our political leaders no longer acknowledged that our rights come from our humanity, but insisted instead that they come from the government?
What if the American people woke up and understood that the official reasons for going to war are almost always based on lies and promoted by war propaganda in order to serve special interests?
What if you had to produce your papers to get out of or into our once free country?
What if we as a nation came to realize that the quest for empire eventually destroys all great nations?
What if you couldn't board a plane or a train or a long-distance bus without providing documentation telling the government who you are and where you're going, without paying the government, and without risking sexual assault?
What if Obama has no intention of leaving Iraq?
What if your local police department could shoot down a plane?
What if a military draft is being planned for the wars that will spread if our foreign policy is not changed?
What if government agents could write their own search warrants, declare their own enemies, and seize whatever property they want?
What if the American people learned the truth, that our foreign policy has nothing to do with national security, that it never changes from one administration to the next?
What if the feds could detain you indefinitely with no visitors, no lawyer, no judge, or no jury?
What if war and preparation for war is a racket serving the special interests?
What if they could just make you disappear?
What if President Obama is completely wrong about Afghanistan and it turns out worse than Iraq and Vietnam put together?
What if the government broke its own laws in order to enforce them?
What if Christianity actually teaches peace and not preventive wars of aggression?
What if the government broke down your door in the middle of the night and shot and killed your dog and claimed it was a mistake?
What if diplomacy is found to be superior to bombs and bribes in protecting America? What happens if my concerns are completely unfounded? Nothing. But what happens if my concerns are justified and ignored? Nothing good. And I yield back the balance of my time.
What if you were required to purchase a product that you didn't need, didn't want, couldn't afford from a company you never heard of, just as a condition of living in the United States? What if the government told you what to put in your body and not to put in your body, and how much of it? What if the government claimed that since it will be paying your medical bills, it can tell you what to eat, when to sleep, and how to live? What if the government tried to cajole and coax and compel you into behaviors and attitudes it considered socially acceptable? What if the government spent your tax money to advertise to you how great the services are that it provides? What if the government kept promising to make you safe, while all the time it was stripping you of your liberties and committing crimes in your name that made you a target of more violence? What if you didn't have a right to every dollar you earned? What if the government decided how much of your earnings it will keep and how much it will let you have? What if the government took money away from you and gave it to its rich banking and corporate friends whose businesses were failing? What if the government thought it knew better than you did how to lead your life and had no problem telling you so? What if the government took credit for every success your own human actions helped to achieve? What if the government told you that only it could build roads, run schools, keep you safe, and collect the trash, and deliver the mail, even though it's never been able to do so efficiently before? What if the government spent nearly twice as much money as it took in? What if it couldn't pass a budget on a timely basis and just funded itself a couple of weeks at a time? What if the government kept borrowing money against the wealth of future generations to pay for wasteful programs today? What if you worked for the government and the government didn't work for you? What if freedom were a myth? What if we don't live in a free country? What do we do about it?